Hello, and welcome to Healthy California podcast. My name is Linda Brown, and I am the host of Healthy California, where my goal is to help educate you on your daily choices so we all can become healthy. I believe you, your family, your neighbor, and your community are all looking for better ways and simple ways to return to being healthy. Many of you have health issues or have family that's going through tough times that seemingly have no answers. It's frustrating. There are questions about health, environment, foods, exercise, and lifestyle, and it can be all overwhelming. And who do you believe? And where's the science behind it? This podcast will unravel the mystery behind being unhealthy and talk about little things that we can do in our lives to make a positive change in our health from all angles. So to be healthy, we need to have physical health, mental health, environmental health, financial and social health, and of course, spiritual health. Let's answer some of these questions to get healthy. What good is just listening to a podcast? I will give you resources as well, ways to take steps and make positive changes in your life to becoming healthy. This is a journey, not an assignment, so be kind to yourself. Hello, California. Welcome back. My name is Linda Brown. I am your physical therapist and functional nutritionist here in California to help you build a healthier you from the inside out. Today, we're exploring a topic that comes up often in my daily conversation: electromagnetic fields. These invisible energy waves are around us everywhere. In our phones, our Wi-Fi systems, our routers, our Bluetooth headphones, AirPods, cell towers, smart meters, cars, wiring inside our house, inside, outside, they're everywhere. We can't escape them. And there's a lot of information or confusion or fear even, misinformation on EMFs. So today, we're going to talk about what EMFs are. We're going to break down what the research says and doesn't say about EMFs. And we're going to help you understand practical ways to reduce unnecessary exposure, without fear or without overwhelm and without tossing your telephone into the ocean. So let's dive in. What are EMFs? What are they actually? EMFs stands for electromagnetic fields or frequencies. They're energy waves that move through space. An EMF, the wave itself, either has the energy to knock an electron off of a molecule or not. That's kind of how it's defined. So if it has enough energy to knock an electron off an element, that would be considered high frequency or an ionizing wave, ionizing radiation actually. If it's not a strong wave, then it doesn't have the strength to knock an electron off of a molecule, which then it would be considered non-ionizing. So that's a big word. An ion is an atom that has a charge on it. So an atom typically has all these electrons floating around it, and it's pretty stable. If an electron pops off of that, then it's unstable. And then you have an electron floating around your body. And that electron itself can also be damaging. That's what a free radical is in your body. But an ion itself is just an atom with a charge or a molecule that has a charge. So that would be an ion. So if you have an ionizing radiation, that means that it has a charge to it and it's unstable. And that happens when you have a wave, or in this case a wave, an energetic wave that went through a molecule or went through an atom and popped off an electron. And now you have an unstable cell or unstable molecule or unstable atom. So that's what ionizing means. Something has ionized it. So a high frequency wave can ionize something, a low frequency wave will not. So let's go through that a little bit. Ionizing radiation. Remember, ionizing means it's high energy and it has the ability to pop off an electron, and that's important because that will cause damage in the body. Ionizing radiation has been known to damage DNA, with enough exposure, it can damage your DNA. And DNA is where the DNA is like the Bible of our cell. It's the blueprint. It is where the instructions are to make things or make things stop. Either make things grow or make things stop. And this is important because if you have DNA that turns on and off, like let's say the DNA has to replicate something, build something, but it doesn't have the ability to stop that because of damage by an EMF, then that DNA is going to keep producing, growing, and that is what cancer is. It doesn't have the ability to stop growing, and then before you know it, you have a tumor. That is kind of how EMFs or radiation is associated with cell growth or cancer. So that's ionizing radiation. And we usually see it with X-rays, ultraviolet rays from the sun, airport scanners, nuclear energy. Those are all ionizing radiation. Highly energetic and able to cause damage with enough exposure. So then non-ionizing radiation. Well, what's that? It's lower energy. So it doesn't have the energy to maybe remove an electron or directly break chemical bonds, but it does have the ability to still cause some damage. The difference is, even though it doesn't break DNA like an X-ray might, there might be biological effects, meaning that your cells respond to the exposure over time. It can have a thermal effect, oxidative stress, nerve system, it can be impacted. Britannia et al. In 2021 conducted a study that explains one of the theories of electrical waves in a cell, which can cause electrical cellular disruption. So electrical cellular disruption, what that means is in our cell, we have a membrane. It's kind of the barrier between the inside and the outside. In this barrier, we have proteins that allow things in and allow things out, just like it's supposed to. But some of those proteins work by electricity. So we have electrical impulses in our body. We're an electrical system, and we have these charges that develop on the outside of the cell, sometimes on the inside, but these charges grow. So the charge itself is growing until there's enough electricity to open up that protein and allow things in the cell. That's how our body works. That's how our nervous system works. That's how all our movement works off of these electrical charges. When we have radiation or electrical waves that disrupt that, these non-ionizing radiation waves may not cause cellular damage per se, but it may interrupt the proteins or the electrical system that allows things in and allows things out. So some examples of non-ionizing radiation are cell phones, Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, smartwatches, smart meters, laptops, power lines, microwave ovens, household wiring, lighting. I mean, it goes on and on. Pretty much our environment is surrounded by these EMFs, and I don't want to scare you because they're all around us, right? And I mentioned power lines as a low energy, non-ionizing radiation. If you were to look up power lines, that's what you would see, that it's low energy and it's non-ionizing. Well, then why are people so afraid to live under power lines? I want you to think about this for a second. Would you rather do one high-dose X-ray once a year to determine if you have a disease process or not, or would you rather live under a low-frequency power line every single day? So the dose makes the poison here. Either low-dose ionizing radiation for a long extended time or a high dose for a very short period of time. So you have to I want to take a second to share a helpful resource with you. I have a free health questionnaire designed to pinpoint the areas in your life that you need to focus on for optimal wellness. If you're interested, simply click the link in the show notes or visit heal-throughfood.com to access it. Now let's dive back into the show. Weigh the benefits and the risks. That's why I had mentioned earlier that ionizing radiation has been proven to damage DNA with enough exposure. So just because you're exposed to it doesn't mean you're going to damage your DNA. You have to have that repeated exposure in most cases. Okay, what does the research actually say? Some of it says EMFs may increase oxidative stress, EMFs cause sleep disruption, EMFs cause headaches, memory, and focus problems, can cause cancer, accelerated aging or shorter longevity, and children are more vulnerable. That seems obvious. Let's talk about each one of those separately. The first one, EMFs may increase oxidative stress. Well, what does that mean, and why is that important? Oxidative stress is, again, an electron coming off that molecule or atom. And so if you think about a penny that's made of copper, that penny is going to oxidize. So when it's exposed to air, electrons are coming off, and then that penny oxidizes. Same thing happens in our body. And for the most part, our body was meant to handle oxidation. That's kind of what it does. Electrons pop on and off, and that's what our electrical system is. However, when we have oxidative stress, it typically means that we have more stress than our body than our body can handle. So that's what the stress part is. We have more oxidation happening than not. When we have oxidation or oxidative stress or reactive oxygen species, I'll just call it oxidative stress. It's easier to say. It can cause damage. It can cause mutations. It can cause cancer. It can cause cell death. That's a study done by Barati, and that's not new information. And these again come from X-rays, CT scans, airport scanners, nuclear energy, UV exposure from the sun. And I have things to say about the UV exposure from the sun compared to sunscreen, but we're talking about oxidative stress. The research shows that EMFs increase oxidative stress, which leads to other things. Usually when we have oxidative stress, we would see it as inflammation in the body. And if you listen to my inflammation podcast, inflammation is the cause of lots of chronic disease processes. If not most chronic diseases is caused by inflammation. So oxidative stress is linked to inflammation. It's linked to fatigue. It's linked to aging, decreased longevity, accelerated aging, and it's linked to mitochondrial dysfunction. Just oxidative stress itself. So now we have an EMF wave causing oxidative stress, which causes inflammation, fatigue, aging, mitochondrial dysfunction. The mitochondria is the powerhouse of our cell. So if the mitochondria isn't working properly, then our energy is not working properly. So this doesn't mean an EMF is going to cause disease, but they can contribute to your inflammatory load, your toxic burdens, and if you have oxidative stress in your body already, then these EMFs are just going to exacerbate that. EMFs may not cause disease, but they can contribute to your toxic burden and your inflammatory load. Let's see, what else? What does the research say? Sleep disruption, including hormonal disruption. I'm putting sleep disruption and hormonal disruption kind of in the same, I don't want to say category, but I'm putting them together. So there are findings consistently replicated across many studies that Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, cell phone radiation can influence melatonin levels. Melatonin is our sleep hormone. It's what helps us fall asleep, and it ebbs and flows throughout the day. Also, EMFs can disrupt DHEA, testosterone, cortisol levels. It can disrupt our circadian rhythm. It can disrupt our sleep depth and architecture, which just means what are your REMs, what is your deep sleep. You can sleep all night long, but doesn't necessarily mean that you are having a good quality sleep. It can affect our sperm motility and sperm count. I said DNA fragmentation before, so it can affect our DNA. It can affect our testicular oxidative stress. So again, in the testicles, so that would be reproductive. And for women, exposure to EMFs near the pelvic region may impact ovarian problems, embryo viability. And there needs to be more research on this, but there has been some research showing that EMF exposure, especially near that area, it may impact the embryos. There's a study done by Diaz del Cerro in 2022, and they showed that sleeping on a mattress that protects you from EMFs at night. Now remember, you spend a third of your life, 8 hours a day, sleeping. Well, if all goes well. If you are spending a third of your life in an environment surrounded by EMFs and you're laying there trying to recover and sleep from the day's activities, then of course you are constantly being exposed. And now I'm just talking about people who may be sensitive to EMFs, because we're all exposed all the time, and most people don't feel things, don't feel the effects of increased EMF, but some people are very sensitive to it. And there's a name for that, actually. There's a diagnosis that was from the World Health Organization, and it's called electromagnetic hypersensitivity. So if you feel like you have that or know someone who has that, then it's a real thing. It's not people just making things up. So let's see, what else? The research, well, I talked about research and oxidative stress, research and sleep disruption, research that shows EMFs cause headaches, memory and focus problems, especially in sensitive people, the electromagnetic hypersensitive people. Also can cause brain fog, memory issues, dizziness, irritability. Now, if you think about electromagnetic frequencies or EMFs, I've already explained that it is a wave that can disrupt the cell membrane or the DNA. And a nerve cell depends on electricity to move impulses, electric impulses from the brain to your body or from your body to your brain. So if that's interrupted, of course, it would make sense that you could get nerve problems, headaches. Your brain is your biggest nerve impulse in your body, right? So headaches, brain fog, memory issues, that could all just be coming from EMFs. What else does the research say? Cancer. This is a big question for everyone. So there is no definitive evidence that EMFs cause cancer, because people are always thinking, what about my cell phone? However, there is also no evidence proving that it is harmless, 100% harmless. So there are large studies that show a mix for it or against it. But what we do know is reactive oxygen species. Again, that's when you have an electron that has come off that atom and now it's unstable. And that's normal in the body. However, when it comes out of balance, like we have more oxidative stress than not, and that can trigger cancer cells. And that's in a study by Maffei, Maffei, back in 2022. However, that's a recent study, but that's not nearly all the studies out there that show that as well. EMFs can cause gliomas. That is a growth on a nerve cell or around a nerve cell. It can cause growth in parotid glands. Parotid glands are the ones in your mouth, your jaw area. Acoustic neuromas, which that's in your ear, around your ear. So there's a lot of damage that can be done by EMFs, and that damage could cause extreme cell growth, and that extreme cell growth could be cancerous, or it could just be a tumor. And not all tumors are cancerous, they're just a growth. The research shows that the risk to low frequency EMFs is small, but it's not zero. So I would just think about being cautious in general. What else has the research shown? Research has shown, I had mentioned it a little bit ago, accelerated aging or shorter longevity. And there's a study done by Diaz del Cerro in 2022. All these you can find in my show notes. And so one of the strongest and most consistent finding is the DNA fragmentation. And that's, again, because these strong high frequency EMFs are coming through a cell and hitting that DNA. It's disrupting the DNA. And the DNA is our instruction book of our whole entire body. Every single cell has a nucleus that has DNA in it. And the research also shows that children are more vulnerable. I'm not going to go into that. That just seems obvious. So let me go through that real quickly again. The research shows EMFs cause increased oxidative stress, sleep disruption, headaches, memory, focus problems, brain fog, memory issues, dizziness, irritability. It doesn't necessarily cause cancer, but it causes oxidative stress, which could cause cancer. So proceed with caution. And it causes accelerated aging and shorter longevity, and children are more vulnerable. So let's talk about the nervous system and sensitive individuals. Some people are more sensitive to EMFs, which I had mentioned. So they're kind of like a canary in a coal mine. They're the ones that are going to be able to sense things before other people do when it comes to EMFs. And again, symptoms that people may have that are sensitive might be headaches, tingling, insomnia, ringing in the ears, heart palpitations, anxiety, brain fog. If you have any of these and you don't know why you have it and you've gone to many doctor's appointments, checking your EMFs may be something to consider. We don't think about the amount of exposure we have on a daily basis. We have cell phones all around us, cell towers all around us. We have our Bluetooth on. We have Wi-Fi is on. We drive electric cars. We just have so much around us, and you might not even realize you're sensitive. So if you have those symptoms or know someone that does, headaches, tingling, insomnia, ringing in the ears, heart palpitations, anxiety, brain fog, that might be something to consider. And a lot of these things can come not necessarily from EMFs, but again, an EMF can also just be a trigger to some of that. I know that when I go out on a hike or go into the mountains and completely get off grid, I feel so much better for many different reasons. Maybe not just EMFs, but definitely getting off grid is something the body loves. So here are some strategies for people that are sensitive. Spend time in low EMF environments. Reduce your home Wi-Fi usage. Go for a walk outside just to get out of the EMF, but also just to get into different wavelengths, energy wavelengths, like being in trees. That's a whole different energy system. Limit your Bluetooth and your AirPods. Sleep away from your devices, so keep your phones away from you when you sleep. Use low EMF lighting. And then if you're sensitive to EMFs, then support your nervous system by doing breath work, breathing exercises. Taking magnesium helps. Getting your electrolytes in balance, so maybe drinking some electrolytes. That is for people that are sensitive. But just in general, what are practical ways to lower your exposure? So here's the part that I like, right? Solutions. What should we do? So this is not about fear. It's about making smart, simple adjustments that reduce exposure without drastically changing your life. So what can we do? When it comes to EMFs, distance is going to be your friend. So the further away you get from any sort of electrical impulse, the better you're going to be. So again, don't sleep with your phone next to you or under your pillow. Some people need that white noise to sleep, and they'll put their phone under their pillow. Horrible idea. Keep your phone in your purse or a bag, and don't stick it in your bra. I know people that will just stick their phone right down their shirt. Don't wear your phone in your front pant pocket if you are a gentleman, and maybe not in your pants pocket at all. Just keep it away from the whole nether region. Just keep your phone away from any reproductive parts of your body. Put it in a bag or put it in your purse. Keep your laptop off your lap. Put it on your desk or table. So just keep your phone as far away from your body as you can. What else can we do? For your phone, put your phone in airplane mode at night. Not even just do not disturb. Because do not disturb, your Wi-Fi will still be on, your Bluetooth will still be on, talking to your watch that you're wearing, your smartwatch. So just put it on airplane mode. There's no reason your phone needs to be on at night. Or just turn off your Wi-Fi and your Bluetooth. Your nervous system will thank you. What else can we do? Use a speakerphone or earbuds that are actually plugged into the phone, the wired earbuds. The earbuds that are Bluetooth, you have those electrical magnetic fields going back and forth. So consider the wired earbuds again, going back to the wires. And if you think about that, we put those earbuds into our ears. So they're right next to your brain. They're right next to your ear, which is all very sensitive. And then don't carry your phone against your body, which I had mentioned. Radiation is highest when the phone is streaming or uploading or downloading or searching for a signal. So if you're carrying that next to your body, then your body's getting all those EMFs. You can get EMF protection devices for your phone. And there is some evidence that works, but it's better even just to get that fully away from you. Just keep your phone away from you, especially if you're sleeping 8 hours a night and you have that phone next to you. It's unnecessary to constantly having those EMFs next to you. What else can you do? If you have the option, don't live under power lines. So again, even though they are low frequency, you're under them most of the day and all of the night. Don't choose a home under a power line. And then support your biology, which means if you have oxidative stress, our body was meant to deal with that oxidative stress if you give it what it needs to heal. So strengthen your resilience through antioxidants, magnesium, omega-3 fatty acids, hydration. Put those electrolytes in that water. Movement, so exercise. Again, you're not going to get away with not exercising. Movement is so good for your body. Increase your sleep. It's going to help with oxidative stress because when you're sleeping, you're healing. Spend time outdoors. Just reduce your total stress. All that's going to help your body heal so that if you do have oxidative stress from your daily EMF exposure, your body will be able to get through that. If you have a burden on your body, a toxic burden or inflammatory burden, and then you have exposure to some other burden, you're just stacking those burdens on top of each other and leading your way down to a life towards disease. So what else? EMFs are not something to fear, but they are something to understand. We're living in a highly connected world, and technology is not going anywhere. And it's just getting stronger, actually. Those power lines that you live under are just getting stronger and stronger because we are putting a load on them. So we don't need to reject it, but we just need to think about how to live in it more wisely. Let's talk about some takeaways for today. So EMFs exist on a spectrum. They can be strong, they can be weak, but they can be strong and short, or they can be weak and long exposure. So you have to think about the burden on your body. Everyday EMFs are non-ionizing, but not necessarily non-biological. You can still have a biological effect to non-ionizing low energy frequencies. Research shows potential effects on sleep, oxidative stress, fertility, neurological function. Kids are more vulnerable. So we went over simple and practical changes you can make to reduce your exposure. Distance and airplane mode on your phone are going to be your best friends. Strengthen your biology because resilience matters. And I have said this more than once. Your body can heal from things if you give it what it needs to heal. So that's why diet and exercise is always going to be in my what to do part of my podcast. So if you know of anyone who needs to hear this episode, please share it, especially someone struggling with sleep or headaches. So I do want to read a scripture verse, as I always do. This one is from 2 Corinthians 4, and it says, "As we look not to the things that are seen, but to the things that are unseen. For the things that are seen are transient, but the things that are unseen are eternal. And I know that in this verse, he is talking about the things that are seen are the things of the world. We put a lot of faith and into the things that are material. And he's talking about the things that are unseen, and he's talking about God. But it kind of applies to what I'm talking about today, because even though I'm talking about the things that are unseen, I'm talking about EMFs, the waves that we can't see. But even though we can't see it, we can't deny that it's there. So we know that these waves are there. And kind of in the same way it applies to God, we can't, just because we can't see him, we can't deny that he is not there. And even though these EMFs, I'm talking about EMFs, we can't see them, they're still there, and we still need to act accordingly and do what's right for us and our bodies to keep ourselves healthy. So for the things that are seen are transient, but the things that are unseen are eternal. I want you to see that as making choices for yourself that are going to last a lifetime as far as your health goes. And as always, thank you for listening, and stay healthy, California. Thank you for joining me today. I hope you learned something new. Health care and treatment should focus on being proactive and preventative, emphasizing the importance of addressing the root cause of a disease or illness. While the U.S. has an excellent trauma medicine system, helping patients when problems arise, our goals should be to prevent disease before they happen. That's why this podcast is so important to me. If you're needing further guidance or have questions on a particular matter, you can find my contact information in the show notes, where you can set up a 15-minute consultation. I also recommend you adding a functional nutritionist, a functional medicine practitioner, and a physical therapist to your healthcare team. This podcast reflects my personal opinions based on extensive research and education. It is not intended for medical diagnosis or treatment and should never replace the advice from your doctor or other healthcare professionals. To continue providing this free information, I rely on your support. Follow, subscribe, like, and share this podcast with your family and friends, or on social media. Don't forget to turn on your notifications to stay updated whenever I have a new episode released. Educating you and empowering you to take back your health is my ultimate goal. By gathering knowledge and implementing small but impactful changes, you can reclaim your well-being. This is a journey, not a quick fix, so be kind to yourself, and I'll be there to help. You got this.